SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Want to cut your heating costs this season? With a highly efficient York heating and air conditioning system, you can save up to 50% in energy costs while enjoying tax credits and TVA energy rebates as much as $3,000. Your local York dealer. Visit harbonair.com to schedule a free evaluation of your system.
MidDays with Gerard Gibert is on the air. MidDays with Gerard Gibert is powered by C-Spire. Power your home or business with C-Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C-Spire. C-Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. You're listening to MidDays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And good morning, Mississippi. I'm Linda Allen, filling in for Gerard this morning. Good to have you with us. Oh, I feel a thaw coming. Rhino, good morning.
Howdy, howdy.
How are you, baby?
Oh, not too terribly bad. It ain't Monday, so I ain't complaining.
Well, it's kind of close to Monday. I wish it was a little closer to Friday. But I can't complain, though. This weather yesterday, what a difference, right? My gosh, I know everyone out there is taking a sigh of relief and feeling that spring could be getting close. I mean, we know that March, what is that old saying about in like a lion, out like a lamb?
Oh, yeah.
So March is tricky all over the country, but especially here in the South, because we know we can get some nasty weather and some cold weather ahead. So don't get too used to it just yet. But I hope you enjoy it. We have a great show coming up for you in the next couple of hours. Some really interesting topics that we're talking about. I know sometimes when we talk about the legislature and things that are happening, it can be a little bit of a snooze fest, depending on the topic. But we have an interesting topic coming up. And I know that it's important not only for parents with children in school, but for grandparents and for homeowners. If you have a home and you're paying property taxes, you want to know where that money's going, right? Whether you've had children, whether you've never had children, maybe your children are grown and gone. It's death and taxes, right? Even if you don't have kids in school, you can't get away from paying property taxes. And so we're going to be talking about school choice. In Mississippi, we have so many that have the privilege of going to private schools. They can afford it. I'm a public school kid. I went to public school back in the day when I was the only private school I ever went to was kindergarten, because back in my day, there were no kindergarten programs except through churches. And so the only way that you could go to kindergarten was to enroll in a church program. But then I went to public school, and I was fortunate. I had very, very good public schools. Not everybody does, and we know that in Mississippi we have some struggling school systems, and it's not a knock on the teachers. The teachers do everything they can to provide good education for the kids, but the money's just not there, and the school systems are struggling. And we're going to be talking today about school choice. What do you think about that? Right now, our lawmakers are considering it. A bill has passed through the House. And the talk is, if you had the chance to take the money, the state funds that are given to you for your kids for school, what if you had control of that money? Do you think you could manage that and be a better steward of that money than the school system? And could you pick a school that you think would be better suited for your student, for your child? So we're going to talk about that this hour, because I do think it's very important all around, and we all want our kids to have a good education. And let's face it, we know that in the States, our schools, we do not rank as high as some other schools across the world. Our kids struggle. I have worked with young people in the past who have had master's degrees that could not write a complete sentence, that did not have a good education. On paper, it looked really good, but what kind of education do they really have? So we're going to talk about that. And that's going to be coming up a little bit later on this hour. We're also going to be talking about a new study that came out about aging. Rhino, do you think you know what your true age is? How old you are?
It's probably older than my real age.
Well, we're going to talk about that. What is our true age? Can we make our age better? Can we live longer? What can we do to change? And is it too late if you're as old as me? Is it too late to change, or is there still time? We know that when it comes to smoking, if you're a smoker and you quit, you immediately add years to your life, and you immediately help your heart and your arteries and the benefit of that. So we're going to talk about aging coming up too. The weather here, it is beautiful today across the state. It looks like good. It was a little bit of drizzly in the central Mississippi area, but I know that we're going to see some sunshine, and that's really cool.
Yeah, it feels like the groundhog got it right, at least for Mississippi.
For us, not so much for some others, though. I saw this story and I thought it was interesting. We all love animals, most of us, right? I mean, we have a feel for animals and puppy stories, and I cannot watch those commercials that come on in the winter with the shaking puppies in cages, and the song comes on, and, this is interesting. In Rocky Point, Long Island, right? A rescue league came out and had to spend quite a bit of time rescuing rats. They're rehoming rats, believe it or not. Now, you would think of a rat as, I know there's some people have pet rats, right?
Yeah.
But when you think about a rat in your garage or your attic eating your pipes or whatever, right? You don't think of them as being domesticated or being a friendly pet, right? Well, they've had a lot of problems with rats in New York, and they've decided to fix the problem. They don't want to terminate and exterminate the animals. They're putting them up for adoption. It's called the Strong Island Animal Rescue League, and they are currently rehoming rats. 450 rescued rats that they have. They say they're friendly and they're socially domesticated. The Brooklyn Cat Cafe is offering small animal adoptions, including rats. It's a rescue source in the area. The Mainly Rat Rescue in New York City, in the metro area, and the surrounding area is offering rehoming of cold and lonely rats, if you'd like to have one. In upstate New York, notice that all the rats are in New York, apparently.
There are a lot of rats in New York.
They have the Silly Little Rodents Rescue. That's right. It's in Hamburg, Rochester, and Flower City Critter Rescue in Rochester. I lived in Rochester, by the way, for a period of time. They call it upstate, but if you live in Rochester, they would tell you and correct you. That is not upstate New York. It is Western New York if you live in Rochester. But they are actively rescuing and rehoming rats. That's the Mainly Rat Rescue. I'm telling you, Rhino, there are 10, 12 rescue organizations. Ratty Rats is one of them. I love that. So, folks, if you're interested in rehoming a rat and you want to bring a rat into your family, Rhino, you look like the kind of guy that would have strange pets. Like, I could see you owning an anaconda. I could see you owning rats, right?
Never any snakes or rats, technically,
No.
but we did have a menagerie growing up. We had parakeets and hamsters and dogs and cats, and yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, my grandmother had a parakeet. She had two, actually. Petey was one of them, I remember, as a little kid. And she lived in Chicago, in the city of Chicago. And, you have parakeets. They live in cages, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, she would let it out every day. And that parakeet would fly all across the apartment.
Getting its exercise.
And she would feed it. And I don't see people owning parakeets much anymore.
Not nearly as much. It seems like there was a big trend in the 80s and 90s, and it's kind of died off a bit.
Yeah. But so what else did you have besides parakeets?
Well, we had the parakeets, we had the hamsters, we had gerbils, we had dogs, we had cats. We never could convince Mom that iguanas or snakes or spiders or any of those. I mean, we would have gotten one if we could have gotten away with it. We just couldn't get it in the house.
I like it. Do you have pets now?
I have a cat. I have Porch Cat. She's getting older, but she's just still fat and sassy.
So when you say Porch Cat,
that's the name that I've given her since in my old apartment. She loved to sun on the front porch and didn't want to come inside because when her first year of her life, she was an outdoor cat. And then we brought her inside, and she had a bit of that outdoor cat tendency. Now that she's getting on up in age, she really enjoys the inside and will only come outside in certain times. But yeah, I've lovingly called her Porch Cat on the air. Her real name at the vet is Anastasia because that was the name she had. But I'm not going to talk about my pet cat Anastasia on the air all that often. I'll call her Porch Cat.
I can see why. Anastasia just doesn't fit you. But I bet it fits the cat. I was going to say it probably fits the cat, right? So when you call her, what do you call her? When you're calling her to feed her?
Porch Cat, Squirt, come here. Like she was coming
whatever.
Anything, yeah.
Whatever. Isn't that funny how that works? I think I told you the last time I was filling in for Gerard. We have a rescue I laugh when I say that's a rescue dachshund mix, right? She's 70 pounds. She's not a dachshund. When we got her, she was 8 pounds and tiny, and she was going to be a foster animal. Stella is her name. We call her Stella Bella. She's basically Stella Bella long nose, big nose, because she has this gigantic long nose. But she's going to puppy school now. And so yesterday we took her to a public shopping center to walk her around and build her confidence. And so the trainer was talking to me, and she was like, the other reason, I'll tell you why we have a trainer. We've never had a trainer, and that doesn't work well. So we decided with this rescue, we're going to have a trainer. But she said to me, okay, now this is a confidence building workout that we're going to do with Stella, and we're going to get her to jump up on this wall. There's like walls through the shopping center, for gardening, for flowers and plants and things, and retainer walls. And we want to build her up. So the next hour we want to get her to jump up on this wall, and then we want her to walk the wall, and it'll take some time. No, it didn't. That dog is so dang smart. She was up on that wall and walking it immediately. She was controlling us. So we'll see how that goes. But Stella Bella, long nose, she's doing great. And maybe, I don't know, I may look into this rat thing for you. You may need a rat rhino.
I don't think Porch Cat would approve.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, not a good idea. I'm going to definitely let them know that you are not allowed to get a rat. You're listening to Super Talk this morning. I'm Linda Allen filling in for Gerard. It's good to have you with us. Coming up, we're going to be talking about that important issue, choice of schools. I hope you stick around.
See my picture on the cover. Copies for my brothers. I can see my smile on the cover of the Rolling Stone. Right up front, man, I can see it now.
I'm Rex Baker with...
This segment of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
We're rolling. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
What? This is so
Awesome. On Super Talk, Mississippi.
I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set on you.
And good morning to you. Linda Allen filling in for Gerard from the Element Wealth Studios. Good morning to you, and good to have you with us as we feel this wonderful warm-up coming up today. Got your mind set on you. Do you have children in school? Will you have children in school? Maybe you have grandchildren in school. Do you like the school your kids are in? What would you think about having a choice about where your kids go to school? And that's the topic we're talking about today, this hour. And it's an important topic for a lot of folks. And I think what's interesting is for some in Mississippi, they've pretty much just wiped it out before it even got discussed. The executive director of the Education Freedom Institute is with us this morning, Corey DeAngelis. Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Linda. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for joining us this morning. So first of all, for those that don't understand, we're not talking about charter schools, which is a completely different element, where you're talking about specialized schooling for science and math or arts. We're talking about a regular school in your district or even outside of your district, and the choice to be able to send your child there. Explain to us how this works and where the money comes from for that.
Yeah, look, Mississippi already spends over $14,000 per student per year in the traditional government-run school system. And the proposal here is just to allow the money to follow the child. Not even the full amount. Let's say half, about $7,000 would follow the child. And so we'd fund the individual as opposed to the institution. It's the money follows the decision of the parent because parents know their kids better than anybody else. They care about their kids' educational needs, certainly more than bureaucrats sitting in offices hundreds of miles away. And guess what? 17 other red states have already done this in the past few years alone. And so it's on the Republican Party platform. Tate Reeves, the governor, has been a huge supporter of school choice. He also just signed up for President Trump's nationwide school choice program, which is a federal tax credit. And now 27 states have already done that this year. And I'm from Texas. We just passed a universal school choice program as well. But the concept's simple, Linda. It's basically the money belongs to the kids and their family. It's meant for educating children. It should follow them to the school that works best. And if that's a public school, fine. If you like your public school, you can keep it. But for real this time, unlike with your doctor, but with the school system, when there's competition, it's a rising tide that lifts all boats. If parents, look, if you like what's going on, then nothing changes and you stay in your public school. But if not, some of that funding should follow you to private school to pay for tuition and fees. Maybe you want to use it for homeschool curriculum, or maybe you want a religious education for your kid. That funding is yours. It should follow your kid to the school that you choose is the best fit for your child. And it may be because of academics, but it also could be because of safety. Maybe the traditional school, there's bullying going on. Maybe it's not a right fit for your kid. Maybe it's the mission of the school that's not aligned with your values. What we saw during the COVID years in so many states was through the Zoom school, a lot of parents saw that there was far left ideology in some of the schools with critical race theory, social justice activism, and gender ideology. And so if parents aren't on board with that, they could complain to the school board, but we've seen so many times that the school board doesn't want to listen to parents. So at the very least, parents need an escape valve. They need an exit option if they need that opportunity. But again, if not, if your public schools are doing great in your area, they should have nothing to worry about.
We look at it right now. It passed the House. It died a very quick death in the Senate. And so is it dead now for this legislative session, or is there still hope that you and your supporters are able to push this through?
It ain't over till it's over, right?
And the fat lady
session
sings,
isn't
right?
over. Yes, and you're right. In the Senate Education Committee, which is controlled by Republicans, you'd think they'd be willing to at least hear President Trump's main education priority. And if you look at Republican primary voters, they are absolutely on board with the concept of school choice. And it shouldn't really be a partisan issue because Democrats benefit from school choice too, and they support it when you ask the voters. Independents support it as well. But they didn't even have a conversation. They met for about 2 minutes. I think it was closer to 90 seconds. And they quietly killed the bill on a voice vote. I think because they knew they were on the wrong side of history, and there's no legitimate arguments against letting the funding follow the student. It's meant for the parents. They should be in the driver's seat, and they should decide for their own kids. Your kids don't belong to the government. The money doesn't belong to the government schools. It belongs to the child, and the parents should direct that funding. And so there's some more tricks up our sleeve. A bill could resurface. This idea can attach to another existing bill. We could expand other existing choice programs in the state of Mississippi. I think ultimately it's going to come down to the governor leading on the issue, and he's already come out strong saying that school choice is one of his top education priorities, and he made that signal opting into Trump's new school choice program. But he can call a special session at any time. And so if the Senate doesn't revive this education freedom priority, he should call special session after special session after special session after special session until it gets done. And we've seen this movie before. It happened in my home state of Texas. Governor Greg Abbott had to call special sessions on the issue, and we now had the biggest day one school choice launch of a program in the nation's history. We just opened our scholarship program in Texas, and guess what? On the first day, over 45,000 families applied for the program. So that's more proof that it works than anything else, that, when families are given that opportunity, they take it. And you look in Arizona, when they opened their scholarships in 2022 for all families, they broke the government website because so many families flooded the application page. So in Texas, we're now at over 75,000 applications in just a few days. Demand is there. Parents are desperate for opportunities, and those kids shouldn't be stuck in failing schools any longer.
But 75,000, there's no guarantee that all 75,000 will get the opportunity to go to a choice school, correct?
Well, you can start micro schools. There's homeschooling. So even if there's not enough space at the private schools, supply meets demand, just like it does in every other industry. In Florida, we have data on this. Over the last decade, Step Up for Students reported, and I wrote about it in the Wall Street Journal recently, that in the most rural counties in Florida, as they've expanded school choice, the number of private schools have doubled in those areas. So when you build it, they will come. When you put the money in the hands of the parents, then supply will meet demand. And so that's how markets work. It may not be instantaneous, but at the same time, everybody doesn't leave immediately. If you think about in Texas, 45, 50,000 scholarships, even if you get to 100,000 scholarships, that's less than 2% of the school-age population in Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. We have 6 million school-age kids. So it is a big win. It's a step in the right direction. But still, change takes time when programs launch because, one, a lot of families are happy with their public schools, and that's great. This doesn't touch, public school funding. Your local funding stays there. Your federal funding stays there. If anything, the public schools end up with more money per student with this proposal. I mentioned earlier, Mississippi public schools spending about $14,000 a kid. If the parents only taking $7,000, well, you on a per student basis have higher student revenues and expenditures than you did before. It's just like, imagine if you stopped shopping at Walmart, you went to another grocery store, and Walmart got to keep half your grocery funding each week. I mean, that wouldn't make sense, but it would be a good deal for Walmart. I would argue this is a good deal for the public schools too, that they get to keep any money at all for students they're no longer educating. I mean, that's a bargain. This is a win-win solution. And as we've seen in places like Florida, they went from the bottom of the pack in the nation's report card on math and reading to when they expanded school choice, they're now one of the top states on academic outcomes, and they spend 27% less than the national average. 10 out of 11 academic studies in Florida have found school choice being a rising tide that lifts all boats. So no one's trying to hurt the public schools. We want to make them better, and what better way to do that than to give them an incentive to do the right thing. So this is a win-win solution, and everybody should be on board. And you know what? Teachers aren't getting they're getting the short end of the stick in the current system, and that's the problem is their employer is a monopoly, has no incentive to spend money in the classroom. So if you look over time, this is true in Mississippi, it's true in America. Since 1970, we've increased per-student spending by 170% in the public school system. But the teacher salaries have been flat. Why? Because there's no competition. If there was, right now we spend it on administrative bloat. The superintendents are seeing the money. They're just hiring more people, which gives them a bigger voting block, and it gives them more political power. But at the end of the day, the teachers who are in the system, they're not seeing the money.
They're paying for supplies out of their own pockets.
Exactly. Yeah. And so school choice benefits them as well because if there's 5 studies on this topic, I've done one of them myself. I have an academic background. I've published 40 peer-reviewed journal articles on these topics. But it's a niche area of research. But when there's more competition, the public school outcomes get better. That's a clear sign of the evidence. But also the teacher salaries end up having higher they actually end up earning more money in the public school system because their district leadership starts to put their money where their mouth is and starts to respect teachers more because they're the most important aspect of the school. They're the ones actually taking care of the kids.
They are the ones with our kids every day. We're talking to Corey DeAngelis. He is the executive director of the Education Freedom Institute. Choice of schools in Mississippi. What do you think about that? We're going to continue that conversation as we continue right here on SuperTalk Mississippi. I'm Linda Allen, filling in for Gerard today. Good to have you with us on this Tuesday.
You still can find some room for broken-hearted lovers to cry. It's so lonely, Becky, babe. Well, they're so lonely. They'll be so lonely they could die.
Attention, adoring fans!
It's time for Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, just a reminder to you, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation and the Dixie National Rodeo go hand in hand, and this coming Thursday, you can catch Middays with Gerard at the Trade Mart in Jackson. He's going to be teaming up with the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation to grow the future of our state's agriculture at the Sale of Champions. The event is also brought to you in part by Mississippi Beef Council. Again, that's coming up this Thursday with Gerard right here on Super Talk. Good to have you with us this morning. It is 10:38. I'm Linda Allen, filling in for Gerard. Our special guest this hour is with us to talk about choice in school. Corey DeAngelis is in from Texas, where he is the executive director of the Education Freedom Institute. And we're so glad to have you in Mississippi, Corey. You came all this way to help promote something that is really important to you. 17 states have already passed a program where parents have a choice of where their kids can go to school. Now, we're not talking about handing them over the money. You talked about in Mississippi, $14,000 is appropriated for every student in the state. We can't touch federal or local monies. Those stay there to help support those schools. But about $7,000 could be floating out there and in the hands of parents. But we're not talking about directly writing them a check, right?
That's right.
They would have control of that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like a health savings account where you could only use the funding for approved health-related expenses. It's an education savings account. You can only use it for education-related expenses. You can't use the money to go pay for a big screen TV, for example. And
buy new clothes for school.
And if there's some way you found a loophole to do that, you'd be held accountable. And so, the money it follows the decision of the family, but it's not like cash that goes into the pocket of the family. So there's accountability built into it. There's guardrails built into it. And yes, 17 other states have done this. Some states have been doing it for decades, like Arizona and Florida, with this education savings account model. And it's worked really well. The public schools have gotten better. They've worked in harmony with the parents being able to choose alternatives to the system. It's constitutional. It's the right thing to do. And there's so many other programs that function this way. If you think about other industries, even within education, you think about higher education. With colleges, there are state and federal level scholarships, like the Pell Grant, for example. You can use that for a public university, a state-run university if you want, but you could also use a Pell Grant to go to a private university, even a religious one, and the money follows the student. Same thing with pre-K programs. Think about the federal Head Start program. That money can follow the decision of the family to a private provider of pre-K, and it can go to a religious institution as well. And so all we're arguing here with school choice is we apply that same kind of logic with the money following the person as opposed to the building in those in-between years as well of the K-12 education. You think about Medicare funding. That's basically a public funding that can be used at private health hospitals. You think about food stamps or SNAP benefits. Those are public dollars that can be used at private grocery stores. Okay, well, let's do the same thing for education and let the money follow the child, especially because we're already spending the money. We're already spending $14,000 a kid. You might as well let parents take half. It's their funding. It's for their children. So, we're not arguing about what the level of spending should be, but if we're going to spend the money, it should follow the kid, not the building.
One of the things that really surprised me about this is that when you think about underserved areas in a state, Mississippi, we have quite a few of them, I would think Democrats would be all over this and support this because they would want better education for their constituents. And yet, we're not seeing that. Why is that happening, Corey?
Well, it's a political calculation more than anything else. Democrat voters support school choice. They benefit from school choice programs as well because their constituents tend to be in the worst government-run schools. So families in Democrat areas are clamoring for school choice policies. The thing is, in America, 99% of the campaign contributions from the teachers' unions go to Democrats. It's a money laundering operation. It's absolutely insane. And you look at the teachers' union president, Becky Pringle at the NEA. She's also an at-large member of the DNC, the Democrat National Committee. So there's this incestuous relationship there. But
is it about money? I mean, why would they not be supporting this?
It's about money. It's about power. It's not about what the constituents actually want. But in states like Florida, some of the Democrats are figuring this out because in 2018, DeSantis actually barely won the governor's race in 2018 by 0.3 points. The Wall Street Journal headline the next day after DeSantis won was that, quote, school choice moms tipped the governor's race for DeSantis. And the story there is that there was over 100,000 kids using school choice scholarships at the time in Florida in 2018. His opponent, Andrew Gillum, the Democrat, called to get rid of those scholarships. And those were disproportionately low-income families, non-white families. And the exit polling from CNN, of all places, found that black moms in particular came out in force for DeSantis, probably because they didn't want to lose their scholarships for their kids. They wanted their kids to get a better opportunity than they had. And so this is a way for Republicans to make inroads with voters from communities that historically would vote for their opponents. And so for Republicans, this is a golden opportunity to expand your majorities. Florida went from a purple state to having super majorities in both chambers. DeSantis went from winning by 0.3 points to with 20 points. And you look at places like West Virginia, another rural state. When they passed school choice, they were afraid of turning blue at the time, and now they have supermajorities in each chamber. So you look at the Senate Education Committee, you look at the Senate, who's run by Delbert Hosemann, who he supports school choice for his own family. He sent his kids to private school, and I don't blame him for that. Everybody should seek out the best educational opportunities for their kids, but you shouldn't pull out the ladder from behind yourself and not allow less advantaged families to have those same kinds of opportunities.
He's not supporting this at all.
I hear the word on the street is that he's the main holdup in the Senate. He controls the Senate. He's the leader of the Senate, so he should be able to get the ball rolling, at least have the conversation to discuss President Trump's main education priorities. So, look, it's not over yet. Hopefully Delbert Hosemann kind of wakes up and smells the coffee, and Tate Reeves has some tricks up his sleeve as well. Namely, he needs to call a special session. He joked about it on social media the other day.
He called out Hosemann, too.
And he actually had a scathing tweet calling out Delbert Hosemann, saying that in his 27 years of politics, he has never been more ashamed or of someone in politics than he is with Delbert Hosemann right now for blocking education freedom in the state of Mississippi. And guess what? In the print version of the Wall Street Journal this morning, just came out a new article pushing nationally a huge spotlight on Mississippi. All eyes are on Mississippi with this school choice fight right now. It's basically the only red state that hasn't done it. So it's a real head scratcher. It's the Senate. It's Delbert Hosemann has not allowed it to happen. The education chair, DeBar, has publicly opposed private school choice as well. And then you had Democrat Blount, I believe his name is. He was bragging about killing the bill on social media. He sent his kids to private school, too. It's this school choice for me, but not for the hypocrisy. And you know what? It's kind of like this. It's kind of like this let them eat cake moment where they're just telling poor families that they should just move houses to get to a better opportunity. That's not choice. That is not an attainable option to just
we
try
see
to
a lot
say,
of that in Mississippi.
Go move into a better neighborhood. Yeah. If you can't even afford a better to live in those neighborhoods, there's no way that's going to happen. We need to expand equality of opportunity, and the best way to do that is to say, look, we're already spending this money. It doesn't belong to the schools, public or private. It belongs to the kids, and they should be able to choose among alternatives, just like we do with everything else, just like politicians routinely do for their own kids. We should expand those opportunities to other families as well. Every single family in Mississippi deserves that option, not just the elite, not just the people in power.
What can residents do to it's died in the Senate? Is there anything we can do now that those that promote this, that want this, these families that want this, what can they do now to be more proactive with this?
They need to call their lawmakers. They need to send emails. They need to tell the governor to call a special session. And this is how it worked out in my home state of Texas. The House was the holdup in Texas. The Senate routinely passed the school choice bill, and Governor Abbott made it his top priority. He made an emergency item during his State of the State, and he said, you know what? He looked into the camera and said, I don't care how many special sessions it takes, we're going to make it happen. And this has been his biggest priority and biggest victory in all of politics for Governor Abbott. He came out victorious, and they got a new House of Representatives ultimately after they didn't pass it during the special session. He gave them every chance to do the right thing. And then the primary voters, we had a poll in Texas. It was actually better than a poll. It was on the Republican primary ballot a couple of years ago, asking voters if they supported private school choice programs. 88% of Texas Republican primary voters said they supported it, and that didn't matter whether you were in a rural district, a suburban district. It was very consistent across geography, and so the primary voters were telling them what was going to happen, and then ultimately a lot of those guys who voted against school choice in the Republican side, 2/3 of them lost their reelection. That basically never happens. It was a political earthquake, and I hope that doesn't have to happen in Mississippi. People should just see what happened in other states, Iowa and Texas namely, and say, you know what, let's be on the right side of history. Let's lock arms with Tate Reeves and President Trump and not lock arms with Randy Weingarten and Becky Pringle of the Teachers Union and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who are against school choice? Why would you be on their side against President Trump and your own Governor Tate Reeves, who are on the right side of history? They're not listening to special interest. They're listening to the people, and the people demand school choice. And the best evidence for that is when you look at states that have school choice, parents flock for those options. You look at states that have charter schools, they have wait lists of tens of thousands of kids in New York City, for example. That's not because parents don't want it. That's because parents need these opportunities, and their kids shouldn't have to wait another second for them to have those better education options.
Corey DeAngelis with us today, the executive director of the Education Freedom Institute, talking about schools in Mississippi.
Well, we ran a couple of ads.
Come on. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
All right, we are back
on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
All right.
I hope you feel good as that sounds. Rhino, do you feel as good as that sounds?
I'm trying.
Little sluggish this morning. Too many Pop-Tarts.
Got to get the caffeine to hit.
Oh, the caffeine. Well, yeah, I know. I need a hit of that too, but then I'd be flying off the ceiling, so that's not such a great idea. If you're just joining us, we've been talking to Executive Director Corey DeAngelis. He is with the Education Freedom Institute. Why is he in Mississippi if he's from Texas? Well, because members of the Mississippi Center for Public Policy invited him to come to help promote choice of schools in Mississippi. Now, when he was invited, we didn't know that it had died in the Senate. But for those of you supporting it, there still may be hope. Corey, I mean, at this point, it's dead in the Senate, passed the House, dead in the Senate. Delbert Hosemann, as you have pointed out, is not a big proponent of this. Do you stay here until it passes, or is it a dead deal for this year?
Yeah, I mean, when we plan the trip, I obviously I'm heading home today after the event. We're doing one with Mississippi Center for Public Policy at the River Hills Club right after this radio hit, and then I should be meeting with the governor after that. And so I think the main call to action right now is, well, one, it's not completely dead yet, right? Session isn't over until, mid-April, and the governor can call special sessions in Mississippi at any time. He could do it right now if he wanted. He could do it after the end of session, if maybe that's the better time to do it. But he can call special session after special session after special session and force the conversation, have them discuss education freedom instead of trying to get away with this 90-second meeting in the Senate Education Committee chaired by DeBar and, the chamber led by Delbert Hosemann, who supports school choice for his own family but not anybody else.
Are you hopeful that we could get this through this year?
I think so. I mean, you look at my home state of Texas, it was kind of like, a lot of these people who had been in office for decades, they were drunk on power. They thought that they were untouchable. And then the primaries happened, and 2/3 of them lost their seats after voting with the Democrats against their own party platform issue of school choice. And so I think if some lawmakers kind of look at the polling, they look at what their constituents actually want and how they would benefit, and they look at the same movie that's played out before in Iowa, Texas, and other states, maybe they'll do the right thing. And I think Tate Reeves has the power to make this a Mississippi conversation, but also the people are chomping at the bit nationally. I mean, the Trump administration put out a support of the bill as well. Linda McMahon, the education secretary appointed by President Trump, said she supported House Bill 2, the universal school choice bill that was co-sponsored by Jason White, the speaker, who's a huge proponent of education freedom. And it was also co-sponsored by Representative Jansen Owen, who did a very good job presenting the bill on the House floor and defending it before they passed it through the chamber. So it's not over yet. I mean, there are different avenues. I think the best avenue is to call a special session, have the House and Senate get together and discuss these issues, and see if they can come to some sort of compromise. Maybe they cap the number of scholarships or something, have it available to everybody. But we did this in Texas. We capped the number of scholarships to about 90,000 kids in the first year. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how the pilot works out, and then you could see how it works out in the first year. And everywhere we've tried this, it works out well. But that's another way to say, okay, well, then we'll expand it later.
Corey,
but at least try something to begin with. And
we're almost out of time this hour, but quickly, people are going to be asking, What's in it for you? I mean, you're obviously very passionate about it. Are you a lobbyist? Are you paid just to promote this? I mean, why is this important to you?
I support education freedom for families. I support school choice. I had some version of school choice when I was a kid. I went to government schools all through K through 12, but in high school I went to a magnet school, and I was able to see a night and day difference between the school I was assigned to, where there was fights, bullying, drugs, gangs. There was teenage pregnancies on campus at the middle school, and then I saw the school that I was able to attend. It was a specialized school, a magnet school. And I think other families should have those same kinds of opportunities. I look at this as a researcher, as an economist. My first study linked the Milwaukee private school choice program to crime reduction later on in life. And I thought I was going to go into academia. I've published 40 peer-reviewed studies on these topics, finding huge benefits of school choice, not just on test scores, but also these longer-term outcomes like reducing crime, increasing graduation rates, increasing earnings, helping the economy, and so on and so forth. So I do this as an American, wanting our society to be better off. I think there's too much control and capture of the institutions by the left, and no one should be forced into those institutions anymore, especially conservatives, especially Christians who are forced into school systems that can't have a religious kind of ideology. And you should be able to raise the kids you want to raise, however you want to raise your kids. And so if that's a Christian education, you should be able to do that as well. And so I do this for the individual parent. I will never put my thumb on the scale and tell parents what they should or should not do. That's up to them. They should have that power. They should have that freedom. And the politicians should stop standing in the schoolhouse door, preventing them from having those choices.
Corey DeAngelis, thank you for joining us today. What a fascinating conversation, and good luck. We'll be watching it.
Thank you so much, Linda. It's great talking to you.
Thank you so much. You're listening to Super Talk today. Good to have you with us today. We're with the Element Wealth Studios. More to come, and we're going to be talking food next hour. I know that'll get your attention. I saw Rhino's eyes go up.
Of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by the Mississippi Business Journal. Visit msbusinessjournal.com. Scott Coopwood, publisher and president.
And now, the talk that keeps Mississippi talking.
That's what I like to listen to.
You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert. Here on Super Talk, Mississippi.
And welcome to Super Talk Mississippi. I'm Linda Allen, filling in for Gerard today. I'm sure he's working somewhere. You know, that man never stops. He's always got something going on. Hey, did you know that there's a lot of content from Super Talk Mississippi on our new YouTube channel? Yeah, YouTube. It's so simple. Just search Super Talk Mississippi on YouTube, and you can also go to supertalk.fm/YouTube. That's supertalk.fm/YouTube. And you be sure to subscribe for free to get the latest scoop on what's happening in Mississippi with news, politics, and all the good things happening here in our state. Rhino, you were talking about caffeine earlier. Are you a diet soda drinker?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So what's your favorite?
I kind of alternate between Diet Coke and Coke Zero, just whatever's in the fridge.
You know, it's interesting. In different parts of the country, I have a terrible I have to admit it. I'm an addict. I have to have my Coke Zero a day, or I don't know that I can function. In fact, that's what's in my little mug right now, my little Pitbull mug. Not Pitbull, the dancer, singer. Pitbull, baby Pitbull, John Wayne. No, I know, I love that. But there is a new article that came out that it supports some research that's already been done, and it does give me a little pause, just a little. Not too much. Frequent consumption of diet soda. Now, we've heard in the past, Rhino, you know this, that if we drink diet soda, it's not any better for us than sweet, they say, because it triggers sugar sensations and we want more. Well, this study's a little bit more concerning. It talks about the increased risk of dementia. Something about the diet soda products. Now, the association with dementia and diet sodas is still not quite certain. We don't know completely, but there are some new findings. This is from the Northern Manhattan study that it showed a fourfold increase in dementia, in the risk among dementia-free individuals who consumed more than one diet soda a day. Okay, fess up. How many do you have a day?
Depends on the day, but it can be anywhere upwards of 6.
6 diet sodas a day?
On a bad day, yeah.
Oh, I know. Bad boy. That's a lot. I felt guilty about my one, and you are way far outpacing me.
I'm doing better, though. It used to be Red Bulls.
How many Red Bulls did you drink a day?
3 or 4, yeah.
Wow. You know, for a young guy like you, that can be dangerous. That can be really hard on your heart. You know, get your heart palpitating too much. And anyway, so we've seen that kind of study. But here's the thing, what they looked at. In addition, what they found, this is really interesting, is that if you consumed more than one diet soda a day, it could possibly increase your risk of dementia. But it was found in those who were black and white, but not Hispanic. So it's something possibly with genetics. I mean, everything in life is genetics, right? They said, though, that they did exclude some participants that were either diabetic or obese, had an obesity issue. They found that the association there was no longer significant. So the takeaway, this is what I hate when you get studies like this. So you get a study, it comes out with a big headline, and then it says, more research needs to be done. The takeaway message is, we really don't know.
Well, you remember back in the day when saccharin got all the attention because, it's a carcinogen.
Yeah.
And then you dig a little deeper, and when they gave lab rats saccharin, they got cancer. But when you scale it up to the size of a human, it would be a human eating the equivalent of a dump truck.
A lot of it. Well, you know, aspartame. I'm kind of anti-aspartame at this point in my life because we do know that some of these chemicals are not good for us, and everything that I've read about health and fitness, again, it goes back to the basics. Go back to whole foods. Go back to there are monk fruit. There are things that are out there that are natural sweeteners. Personally, I don't like monk fruit very much, but it's natural, so it's supposed to be so much better for you, right? So I think that's one of the takeaways. But I do, let's face it, we all know, we're adults. Let's be honest here with each other. We know what we're supposed to do. We know what's good for us, what's not good for us. But we're only human, right? And we make mistakes, and we like what we like.
And there are other things that seem like a really good idea, but you do need to do things the right way. So, for example, I should probably cut back. I shouldn't allow myself to have 6 in a day on some days. But there are other things, like the new miracle drug, the GLP-1s.
Don't get me started.
That are the weight loss miracle drug that's sweeping the world. There have been some questions about the safety of it. Those have mostly been answered. But a lot of the people taking the GLP-1s already had a pretty poor diet. That's why they needed to lose weight to begin with. And studies coming out of Australia are showing a resurgence in something that really hadn't been seen a whole lot since the days of pirates and the high seas. If you don't have a good diet and you're taking a GLP-1, unless you change your diet, you could develop scurvy, which is a vitamin C deficiency.
Scurvy. Now, I haven't read about the scurvy coming up, but that is interesting. You can't my fitness partner, and when I say that, my business partner, Josh Nair, is going to be joining us a little bit later on this morning, and we're going to be talking about some of this, but I don't want to get into GLP-1s too much, and I don't want to attack people who are doing these things.
No.
Do it at your own pace, but here is the concern. When you do these GLP-1s, it does kill your hunger. You can't live on 4 almonds a day. And what we're seeing is a lack of nutrition now, as you talked about, and the greater concern from physicians that I've spoken with, it is all about muscle mass. You're losing muscle mass. So my partner likes to talk about fake fit. You may look fit, right? You've lost 40 pounds and oh my gosh, do you look incredible? But can you bend over and pick up a pencil, or are you too stiff and too weak? And so those are the issues that join in. And you see what happened here, didn't you? Out of nowhere, somebody showed up that wasn't invited, and all of a sudden, Josh Nair is in the room. Josh?
Hi, everyone.
You weren't invited,
I heard things that I needed to comment on, and so I raced in. I stopped what I was doing.
Yeah,
I obeyed every traffic. I obeyed all local traffic laws, though.
Yeah,
I
get
needed
here.
to come here immediately to be able to.
Are you dressing his 6 diet sodas a day, or is it about the GLP-1s you want to talk about?
The GLP-1, and I would never say anything to Rhino about his choices, ever.
He'd kick your butt, wouldn't he?
I'm not here to talk about that.
The GLP-1s, we were talking about that as you walked in, sauntered, sashayed. If you saw him, he sashayed into the room. We are concerned, though, about, you call it fake fit.
I'm really concerned about it at large, and in the communities that have embraced this new way of feeling better, the confidence that it builds in people. I, along with other folks in my profession, have a lot of. I think it's a very wait and see attitude, and I think for a lot of us, we're trying to coach against some of the 6 walnuts in a day, or oh no, I've had 6 almonds today, I'm good. No, you're not.
It's not about just losing weight.
And I have called it fake fit because you can overthink this thing till you're blue in the face. But this easier way of going about looking and feeling better is surely temporary and does not mean that you've accomplished any kind of relative fitness to your health.
Scurvy. Rhino was talking about scurvy because of the lack of nutrition. That's very frightening that we're so desperate to be thinner and to look better. There's so much pressure to be that, but the focus is not necessarily on health. It's about appearance, right?
Sure, and our bodies need protein. Whether it's plant-based or meat-based, I'm not here to tell you what to eat, but you need to eat. And I think that one big takeaway from folks that I've talked to on GLP-1s and other folks is that they're just not hungry, right? They're not eating for fuel. In my world, you eat for one of 2 reasons. You eat for pleasure and all the things, go on a date with yourself, right? All the things that you want, or you eat for fuel. And there's a big difference. And I'm not going to say that you cannot eat for pleasure while eating for fuel. You can accomplish both.
If you told us that you couldn't eat for pleasure, I can tell you right now there'd be a lot of people changing the dial. They'd be clicking. They'd be like, we're in the South, baby. We eat for pleasure. We love food.
No, but hang out with me for a while and I'll tell you how to do both. But it's this over-reliance on medication to get to a desired goal without putting in the work, which I understand. However, we've got to do some things that make us pliable, make us mobile and flexible as we grow older, and to supplement folks that are taking GLP-1s, I'm here to just ask that you supplement it with some movement and exercise.
I don't hide my Coke Zero from you every day, and you know I have to have one, but you believe in water. I mean, water's the big thing, right?
Well,
Rhino, we got to drink more water. Oh, he shows me water. It's this tiny little 4-ounce bottle.
Hey, it's a start. Water with lemon, water with strawberry, water with other things.
Water with vodka.
I drink.
It's 11:16.
We have such a long way to go.
Thank you for joining us this morning on Super Talk. I'm Linda Allen, filling in for Gerard today. I hope you're having fun. We're having a good time. We'll be right back.
New year.
And now, the talk that keeps Mississippi talking.
Now, on to the real part.
Dynamite! On Super Talk, Mississippi.
Wow! I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't.
I I feel good. It is Tuesday morning in Mississippi. Good morning to you. I'm so glad you joined me. Gerard has taken the day off to do some other work somewhere. You know him. He's always got something going. Josh Nair, our fitness guru, joined us. Rhino and I were talking about sodas and diet sodas and Red Bull, and all of a sudden out of the thin air, like a little fairy genie that shows up, there comes Josh trying to get in on the action. This is interesting because Josh Nair is a fitness expert who works particularly with people who are rehabilitating or who are aging. And this is a study I thought was so fascinating, Rhino. It looked at when we start aging the most and the fastest. Do you have an idea what age frame that would be, what age we would be?
Well, as I was approaching 40, I was always told it would be 40, and thankfully I haven't experienced it yet. So
50 is the sweet spot, apparently. According to this study that came out, 50 to 55 is when we see the most dramatic changes in our bodies physically and mentally as well, just our awareness. Researchers created a catalog of proteins that were found in individuals. It's a little bit interesting how they came about this. What they did is they looked at samples from 76 organ donors. Now, these were individuals that passed. They were between the ages of 14 and 68, and they died of accidental trauma, a car accident, something that wasn't from an illness. And they took the tissue samples and they looked at the proteins in these, and that's what they found, the breakdown in these proteins and what had happened. And the proteins help to fuel cell growth. So in our bodies, lower levels of these proteins suggest that cells weren't regenerating as well as they would have when we were younger. So as we get older, the data was stacked against a database of diseases and associated genes to determine that the expression of these proteins linked to various diseases, cardiovascular diseases, fatty liver. We hear sometimes of people getting a fatty liver even if they're not big drinkers. A lot more things like this that we know increase between the ages of 45 and 55. But 50 seems to be that target. And Josh Nair, you work with a lot of people who are aging athletes who need to rehab, just find strength and mobility. And it seems like that is true. I mean, I'm over 50 and I notice that those are the biggest changes that I see in my physicality, my ability to move quicker, to bend, to be more flexible, to have more mobility. And 50 is pretty darn young when you think that the average age now of a man, I believe, is 76, and a woman is 82 to 84. So if you think we're going to live that long in general, 50 is a pretty young to start feeling old.
Well, think about the world of professional athletics, and for a second, try to remember a senior professional league if you can, right? So there used to be a professional seniors golfers tour, was a professional tennis tour. But Mother Nature, there's a reason why you don't have 50-year-old professionals doing the things on, playing a game.
Or a quarterback who's 42 and we're shocked, right?
Right,
yeah.
Right. A grandfather playing quarterback, right? So Father Time, Mother Nature takes its course. And that cell degeneration, we begin to lose muscle fibers in our 40s, in our 30s, right? Hormone replacement therapy is all the rage and has been for a few years now, both for women and for men as you grow older. And I have cases where the youngest person that I know that started was 32. So there's a myth that you've got to be in your 40s or 50s to be, in need of some more help to regulate your body to where you naturally should be. But yeah, for sure.
Do you feel the difference? I mean, you work out extensively and you work out with others and you're very flexible. Did you feel the change, and do you still feel it, or do you feel like you're the best you can be?
I mean, I'm not going to lie to the public and say that every day. No, I feel fantastic. There are days that I do feel my age, right? I'll be 57 in June, and I'd like to think that I'm in the best shape of my life. But I don't train like I'm going to the Olympics, right? I don't try to train like I train for my body and for me. And I move. And I think that that's something that, going back to the GOP1 conversation, and just in general, we should move as we get older.
Look at Lindsey Vonn, 42 years old. She had an Achilles tear, and then the tragedy on those slopes where she broke her leg, tibia. Apparently she's going to have a series of them. 42 is still young, but as an athlete at that level, you're really pushing your body.
Yeah, she should be skiing for fun. now for the rest of her life.
Sadly, that may be the case for her.
Yeah, but every athlete at a certain point, I was a college basketball player, and I had to put the ball down at a certain point and realize that I'm going to get hurt. It's not a matter of if, it's when, right? Quick twitch athletics, particularly now with, let's talk about the newest craze that everybody is doing, which is pickleball.
Yeah.
Right? There are more emergency room admissions from pickleball. And folks, if you're playing pickleball, try not to get out there like, you were 25 years old again.
Rhino, pickleball hasn't really taken over Mississippi like at Florida. It's everywhere in other states. But have you seen a lot of pickleball around here?
I mean, it's grown in leaps and bounds, but yeah, it hasn't taken over like it has in some states.
Yeah.
Where you had entire tennis courts bulldozed and remodeled to be
put a pickleball court in your backyard.
You have some pickleball courts that have opened next door to tennis courts, but they haven't taken over completely.
Listen, it's fun. And I wasn't a good tennis player, nor am I a good pickleball player, but it is fun to get out there. And I think one of the attractions that a lot of older folks find with the sport is that it's a smaller version of tennis and a more accessible version. You don't have to run around. You can kind of be planted where you are and hit the ball. But we lull ourselves into a false sense of security when we get on that smaller court, and we may feel like we're 30 again, and that's when we tear an Achilles. We blow an ACL out. Even something as simple as twisting an ankle can put somebody on the shelf for 6 months, depending on the severity.
The study that we looked at about longevity and age, it does stress, and these are the things that you promote all the time, Josh, is lifestyle choices. They are crucial, according to this study, for aging in a healthy way. They say that it's not as much of a crapshoot as people think it is. Now, genetics, of course, play a huge role in this, but it's really about having small, healthy habits that you build into your daily life. They say 7 or more hours of sleep a night is critical. They recommend that you get out there and stay physically active, as you talked about, at least doing something that you can do to be active throughout the day. And we've heard this before, sitting is the new smoking. It is the death knell for all of us here, and that we're not moving. We're not keeping going. But, you always promote little things. Stretch your fingers, stretch your hands, stand up, move around a little bit. And new studies have also shown that little spurts of activity may actually be better for us than working out for an hour every day.
I think you end up depleting your energy reserves, sort of. Your entire tank goes out the window when you would go to the gym with that gusto for an hour. What's the rest of your day look like, right? You still want to be productive. So I do believe that most folks should have these little energy spurts, right? As little as 10 minutes. To be able, it's better than nothing, right? And so that's a life choice that you can make.
And it's like the duh moments, like duh. Walk, park your car a little bit farther, walk some stairs, and it does build up, and it sounds so simple, and it is simple, and yet we still can't seem to get it.
And it shouldn't be the kind of thing that's just a couple of days a week. If you want to make a difference in the way you feel, right, try to apply something every day, right? Bend your knees a little bit if you're washing dishes. And do some just body weight squats as you do. The world is your gym. You don't necessarily have to, right? Take that hour and a half. When you think about travel and the time that you would spend actually inside the gym working out, I think a lot of these things can be accomplished at home.
GLP-1s real quickly, because that's how we started out and how you showed up out of the clouds.
Well, there's a bat signal that goes up.
When we talk fitness.
The hotline.
It does. GLP-1s do kill. Now there's the pill out now. Now it's not even a shot. Now it's a pill, a daily pill. They do kill your appetite completely. So for those that are taking them, that are desperately trying to lose weight, what is your recommendation to them? They have to eat, even if they don't feel like eating, right?
Yeah, right. So at that point, akin to a smaller workout, right? Bursts of energy, try smaller meals, but make them laden with protein. You've got to keep your muscle mass, and straight up protein's the best way to do it. Be it chicken, any of lean meats will do the job. Whether you are a red meat person, chicken, fish, or a vegetarian, there are plant-based ways of consuming protein that's going to help you keep your muscle mass.
So that should be the first thing we eat.
First thing, and water.
Yeah.
Water for folks with GLP-1. And please be mobile. try to lubricate your joints, right? We do that with what we put in our bodies, and be mindful of a little bit of exercise. I'd begin with walking. That's the takeaway, right? Sounds very, like you said, a duh moment, right? But yes, I'm here to provide those moments.
Josh Nair with us, our fitness guru, talking about life in general. We all want to live longer and healthier, right?
My mentor says, push the hands of time back.
We also like to eat, and our next segment, it's so good because it's so delicious. I'll tell you more about that when we come back on Super Talk Mississippi. I'm Linda Allen with Rhino and Josh Nair, filling in for Gerard. It's so good to have you on this Tuesday.
Ring, you know she said so. She's in love with me and I feel fine. She's in love with me and I feel fine.
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
It is
on Super Talk Mississippi.
Yeah, I wish those days were back when I had a 26-inch waist. Age and gravity, baby, they move in. And, of course, my love of food. I love food, too. Everybody loves food. We, this hour, are talking about food. And not only food, but incredible food. This restaurant in our home state of Mississippi, located in Biloxi, has been voted best restaurant, best happy hour, best wedding venue. The chef and owner, who started back in 2017, has been awarded King of American Seafood, the great American Seafood King. And he's also now recognized not just once, but more than once, being nominated as a finalist for the James Beard Award and most recently a Michelin star. This is a really big deal if you don't know. Korean barbecue. We have smoked and fried chicken, pork steak parmesan. Are you kidding me? Brioche king cake. Valentine's Day. Rhino, you said he's got a special menu for Valentine's Day?
Oh, yeah, special 3-course menu designed just for Valentine's Day that makes my mouth water just looking at it.
For lovers. What's on that menu, by the way?
Oh, well, you got your first choice with their Y'all Ain't Got Ranch salad or steak tartare, and in the second course you got wood-grilled Wagyu ribeye or pan-seared Gulf fish. And then, of course, you have dessert with like a White Pillar's brioche king cake or the flourless chocolate toast.
Oh, my gosh. Can we go now? We, of course, are talking about the White Pillars Restaurant and Lounge in Biloxi. Chef and owner Austin Sumrall, the inventor, the creator, the mad scientist of these delectable, tasty bites and treats, is with us. Good morning to you, Austin.
Good morning. Thank y'all for having me.
I'm surprised you could break away. Let me tell you something. I owned a partnership in a private dining restaurant many, many years ago. It is the hardest work I ever had to do. Owning a restaurant and running a restaurant, it is 24/7, isn't it?
It absolutely is. 100%.
First of all, congratulations on your nominations. That is so impressive. A Michelin star, the James Beard Award. And, you know, back 10 years ago, a lot of us wouldn't have even known the significance of those awards. But there have been so many food shows that are out and movies about food. We all know the prestige of that. That is really something. You've got to be so proud for not only you, but all of Mississippi.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, we are. We're so excited. And I agree. That's kind of what I like to talk about, is that it's great for Mississippi. We have all known that the food is really good in Mississippi, but now the world knows, and it's an awesome thing.
We've had some restaurants in Jackson also recognized as a restaurateur. Certainly there's a lot of pride associated with a nomination like that. But for business, what does that do for your business, and how does it carry beyond? I'm sure getting awards like this or being finalists for awards like this, it gives you national recognition.
Absolutely. Well, it definitely can't hurt. This is a busy week for us, just in general, but it seems like it's extra busy this time. I think exposure is great. There's still people that maybe haven't heard of the restaurant or at least haven't been in, and this gives them the opportunity and a chance to come check it out. So we're excited about that. But I think the most important thing is just doing what we got here, what got us here. So, we just keep trying to make good food every day with, cool recipes and, fun environment.
You use a lot of sustainable products on your menu. How do you come up with it? How often do you change it? And when you create a menu, it is like art. What is your goal when you put this menu together and the choices for your guests?
Right. So, we have two different restaurants. But speaking on White Pillars, we do an ultra seasonal menu. So we kind of let the food that's in season kind of guide us on that. So our menu, usually at least something, maybe small, maybe large, changes on it every single day, depending on what we can get in that day, what looks the best, what fish is the nicest, that kind of thing. And we kind of let those seasons guide us, and we change the menu, as those ingredients change and what we can get from our farmers. We try to use as much, local, sustainably sourced things as we can. And, I think that kind of helps us set it apart. Because if you start with a really good product, it's very much easier to end with something that's really good too.
Are most of your clients and customers, are they locals? Do you have a lot that drive in from other parts of the state or even other parts of the South?
So at both restaurants, we're about 50-50, local and outside of our region. So, I think that a lot of it, is Jackson, New Orleans, Mobile. But yeah, it's nice. And, we love to get people, that especially have never dined in Mississippi before, because I think that their expectations are low, which is, not what we want, but it is nice to be able to exceed those on a regular basis and kind of show them what we want everybody to know.
How does a James Beard nomination or something along the lines of anything that's an acclaim like that, Michelin star, do you apply for that? Do others nominate for you for that? How does that process work?
So the Michelin process, they go around and try restaurants. They have an anonymous person that comes around and tastes the different restaurants. And so you really don't know. We knew that they were going to be doing the judging in our area. So
is that just word of mouth, Austin?
Keep it in the back of your mind.
How does that happen? How do you know?
Well, I saw it because of the articles that said that they were going to release a guide that was for our region, and which includes Louisiana, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Atlanta, South Carolina, and North Carolina. So they did that entire region all at once, and so at that point we kind of knew that the restaurants would probably get a look, and you just want to be on your best behavior. And hope that it goes well when they come in. And then as far as the James Beard stuff goes, it's done by nominations. So we're not sure necessarily who nominated us, but once you get nominated, then they will come around again with anonymous inspectors and come into the restaurant and eat. So we won't know when they come in, and we'll just hope it goes great.
There's so much hospitality in Mississippi, but like many places, it's really hard to get talent and to get staff, good staffing, service staff particularly. Do you have a good staff that you feel comfortable with that's been there a while? How do you recruit good people? Because you don't want to tarnish how hard you work and your name and your nominations. How do you get good people in to work for you?
Well, I think that's the most important thing in restaurants. I can't do it all myself. That would be physically impossible. We have a really, really great team that's spread over both restaurants and the hotel. And what we do is that whenever we come across somebody that we think is really talented and really fits our thinking and culture as far as the restaurant goes, and we just try to get them and hold on to them. We have a lot of staff that's been with us from the very beginning. Our chefs at both restaurants, our general managers, they've all been with us for a long time. And I think that helps us with consistency. And then also, being able to kind of push ourselves to really, reach the next level. We're always trying to be better than we were the day before. And, they all get that. And, I think all of the credit goes to our staff. They really are. They're spectacular. Couldn't do it without them.
I think that's incredible because you are your people, right? And to be able to recruit good people and keep them, that's so important because you can go to a great restaurant, but if the service isn't good, you leave not feeling so great about it, right? And a lot of times people will they'll walk away and not say anything. And as a chef and owner, I'm sure you know the worst thing that somebody can do is leave and not tell you if there's a problem. You'd rather them come to you or complain, so to speak, because you want to fix the problem, and that's running a great restaurant. Like right. You have. I want to talk to you about the awards. When will you know about this? Has it already been decided? When will you know whether you're going to get that star?
Right. So the next level of James Beard comes out, I believe it's the end of March. So we'll know if we make it to the next round at that point. As far as Michelin goes, we're on the recommended guide right now. So that's for 2025. And then they come out with a guide every single year. So you have to re-earn that recommendation.
So you start over
each year. And, they'll come in at some point in 2026 and then they'll inspect the restaurant again. But it's not, we didn't change anything for Michelin. We didn't change anything for James Beard. It's always just been, that we want to do the best that we can. Our menu, especially at White Pillar, is just things that I enjoy eating. And then you just hope that everybody else also enjoys it. We try to touch on some nostalgia. We pull from a lot of the different cultures that are found in our region. And really lean on that seasonal, local food too, Gulf seafood, all that kind of stuff.
We're talking to Austin Sumrall, the chef and owner of White Pillars Restaurant and Lounge in Biloxi. He's gaining recognition for our state. It's so good. We're going to talk to him when we come back about the future. What's in store? What else could be coming our way on the coast? That's as we continue with SuperTalk here on SuperTalk. I'm Linda Allen, filling in for Gerard. It's 11:48. Nice to have you with me this morning.
Man of means by no means, king of the road, king of the road, king of the road.
Poly up a.
You know what that means.
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
We'll do it live
on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
It's 11:53 on this Tuesday morning, and my tummy's grumbling. I think it's about lunchtime. Rhino, is it about lunchtime for you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're all hungry in here. We're talking this hour to chef and owner Austin Sumrall of the White Pillars Restaurant and Lounge, which is in Biloxi, and the Siren Social Club, which is in Gulfport. We haven't talked a whole lot about the Siren Social Club. I love the name. It reminds me, it brings back like 1920s prohibition, kind of, speakeasy kind of sound. Austin, you really are such a big proponent of Mississippi and the Gulf Coast, and so many exciting things are happening down there. What do you see for the future of, I would say, eating in general, because it is a destination. We have all the casinos that are down there. You've got the beach, but lots of great restaurants in the southern coast.
I totally agree. We're a little bit biased because we have a couple of those restaurants, but I have seen a big shift, especially over the last 10 years, and more of the local kind of chef-driven restaurants, to me, that are doing just a really great job. And what we want to see is the Gulf Coast be a tourist destination specifically for restaurants. And I think it's becoming that, which is just awesome. And we're so proud to be a part of it. And it's just awesome.
I think the thing that's so cool about the Gulf Coast is that there's a sense of, it's very casual, and yet the dining is very elevated when we talk about the food itself. It's not just throwing something on a plate and having a blue plate special. I mean, you are a prime example, Austin, of taking food to the next level, but yet it's still, we're talking about fried chicken on the menu, but it's not regular fried chicken. This is the one that got me, the foie gras and peanut butter and jelly. I mean, who comes up with something like that together?
It's a great combination of flavors. Love that dish. But yeah, you're right. It is. I had a chef that I worked for many years ago, and he used to say that it's not food church. And we kind of still feel that same sentiment. We want people to be able to be relaxed and have a good time while having really, really good food. And I think that's the key right there. You want to enjoy your environment. You want to have really good service, and you want to have really good food. And I think all three of those things are equally important.
I've stayed at the White House before and the bar environment is really beautiful. The hotel is great. It's got a sense of old and yet it's new. The restaurant, it's a wonderful place to sit and have a meal and, really be able to enjoy the environment and the foods that are around us. And I was really surprised. Back in the day, years and years ago, Mary Mahoney's was really kind of the only place that was the destination eatery on the Gulf Coast. That was kind of it. And now we see so many places like yours that are opening up. And I think you are, you're a great pioneer and entrepreneur for us because with your recognition and what you've been able to do and your success, I can't imagine that it wouldn't encourage others to do similar feats and be able to have some confidence and sense of, I think I could do that there too.
Yeah, I totally agree. We've seen lots open up, and I think a lot on the classic cocktail and high end cocktail world too. There wasn't a lot of that going on. We have a really good program that we started at White Pillars, and then we've continued on at Siren. And then we've seen lots more places open up, which is great for me. I don't like to only eat and drink at my own restaurants either. So, tonight, I got to give a special shout out. It's my wife's birthday today. And we're going to go eat at one of our other chef friends' restaurants, Radish over in Long Beach tonight. And we're going to have a great meal. And that's, that's something that we can be proud of too, is that, we can go all of these different cool places and have really good experiences. That's important for our community.
I think we're seeing that across the state. I mean, I know up in the Delta area, we've had some classics that have been there forever. Oxford is a great community of restaurants. Jackson has really blown up with some really great small privately owned, businesses that have really raised the bar, so to speak. And I think it culturally, it's just great. It brings so many of us together that might not have otherwise been. And it gives us a taste of things that are fun, delicious, but also so many of these things that we experience, they do represent our culture, so much seafood. And we have that Cajun flair that we're not quite New Orleans, and yet we have a little bit of that here, and we have our own tastes. We really, in Mississippi, look at the Delta. We think about, when I first moved here 20 years ago, I was like, why are tamales so big in Mississippi? You wouldn't think of a tamale, right? And it's on almost every single menu in every restaurant that you go to. And that was the Hispanic influence that we had back in the day, and on the farms and on the cotton fields. And so much of our food does represent our culture. And so salute to you, Austin. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us this morning. And happy birthday to your wife.
Thank you all for having me.
Give her. I hope she gets something delicious for dessert tonight.
I think she will.
I know she will. Thank you again to Austin Sumrall, the chef and owner of White Pillars Restaurant and Lounge and the Siren Social Club down on the coast. So proud of Mississippi and what we're doing here. We're coming up on the top of the hour. News is coming up for you next. We'll have more for you as I fill in. My name's Linda Allen, and I'm filling in for Gerard today. And what a great morning. My gosh. I hope you're having fun, too.
And I guess that's why they call it the blues. And I guess that's why they call it the blues.
Welcome to the show that challenges you to think deeply and look beyond political posturing. You're listening to MidDays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
It is 12:06. I guess it's afternoon now already. Boy, the morning goes by so fast. Good to have you with us today. I'm Linda Allen, filling in for Gerard. By the way, just in case you didn't know, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation and the Dixie National Rodeo are coming together this Thursday. You can catch Middays with Gerard. He's going to be at the Trade Mart in Jackson, teaming up with the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation to work together to grow the future of our state's agriculture. It's going to be the Sale of Champions. The event is also brought to you in part by the Mississippi Beef Council. And thank you to Wanda, who sent us a photo. It is the Dixie National Wagon Train that was taking a break on I-49 at Braxton earlier this morning. So that wagon train on its way, kind of an old tradition. As you probably know by now, I know you know because Gerard, you know he is the expert at this, the 2026 Mississippi legislature is in session. This year, over 3,000 bills being considered, many of them already shot down. One still underway is Bill number 1629 in the House. It's a proposed act to criminalize knowingly entering a shooting preserve or a commercial wildlife enclosure and then going in there and killing or wounding or capturing exotic livestock. What exactly does that mean? Representative Blackwell is with us this hour to talk about this. Chuck Blackwell introduced this into the House. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Linda. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you for taking a break. I know you all are so busy down there. This is a crazy time of the year, especially as we enter the month of February. Talk to us about this bill a little bit. You represent District 88 in Jones County. What was your goal with this? And when we talk about exotic livestock, how is that definition, how is that different than regular livestock?
Well, part of the reason for this bill is to give it a good, clear definition. It just kind of lingered out there, and part of the problem was that the wildlife or the ag, no one really knew, I guess, who had the authority or who should take the charge on dealing with these type of issues with what we call exotic animals. Now, so it does give it a definition, gives it a solid definition, and puts it in the under the Department of Ag for the most part, along with other livestock.
Are we talking about lions and tigers and, pets, exotic pets? Chuck, what are we talking about?
Well, it could be, but mostly we're referring to people that have, like, red deer, axis deer, buffaloes. It could be, camels, whatever, anything that's not indigenous to our area. That people come in to raise, whether it be for meat purposes or for pet purposes or whatever the case may be. And so what the problem is that throughout the state, now, and you mentioned it, I'm from Jones County, but I don't think we actually have any in Jones County, but throughout the state, these owners of exotic animals have problems with people cutting the fence, I guess, in an effort to let the animals out, shoot through the fence or across the property and injure or kill the animals. And so this is just really an effort to try to deter that. It stiffens up the penalties for it.
And is that what that's about? Because you would think trespassing laws, or there are already laws on the books that would protect someone's private property, but it is harder to go after, I guess, and then it's like a slap on the hand?
Yes. We certainly have trespassing laws, but this bill, if someone does that, it's going to make it a felony and or malicious trespass. They're going to be responsible for any fees associated with that, as well as restitution to the owner of the animal for any costs, the value of the animal or the cost of the veterinarian bill. They would further be liable for any destruction or anything they did to the enclosure. So it's just pretty much an effort to try to deter that sort of thing.
Was there a particular case that prompted this, or has this just been a lingering, kind of a sore that we just haven't been able to tackle?
I think that's it. I think it's kind of been a lingering thing people had over time, and I've talked to some people that have big exotic animals, and I also talked to Chairman Pygott, chairman of Ag, and he said that up his way that he knew some people that were having similar type problems. So we're just trying to get this through to, like I said, help deter that.
The proposed penalties include fines and jail time. The money to me is not a lot. It's a $500 fine, which seems relatively low, but up to 6 months in jail. Did you feel like you just needed to get something on the books and passed?
Yes, and not only that, restitution. It demands restitution to the owner. It demands that they can be civilly liable as well, or shall be civilly liable for any damage to structures.
Where are we right now with the bill?
The bill's on the calendar. It made it out of committee, and it's on the calendar. The chairman of Wildlife, I talked to him this morning, and he wants to bring it up. He had told me previously that he had some questions about it. We've talked about it. I think he's looked further into it. So I just don't know. It'll be up to the chairman whether he brings it up on the floor or not.
You're the author of this. You're proposing this. Did you have a template from other states? How did you come up with, the key details that you have for House Bill 1629?
Yes, we modeled it kind of after what Texas did.
Do you have any other bills that you see of interest that tie in with this, or is this one standing pretty much on its own?
I think it's pretty much on its own. There's no nothing to do with dog hunting in it.
How did you come about this? If you don't have a lot of this going on in Jones County, did someone come to you and say, "Please back this"? How did this bill fall in your lap?
Yeah, well, I have a friend that has some red deer and axis deer and all down around Lumberton.
Mm-hmm.
And so I talked to him, and then we got hooked up with another fella that has some buffalo, and he had a buffalo shot, I think. And then, like I said, I spoke to Chairman Pygott. He said he was having some issues with people up that way. I don't know the details on his issues, but he said it was a problem, and he supported the bill.
With all the bills going on, some might go, well, that's not really that important. We've got other things to worry about and have our lawmakers center on. Why do you feel like this is important and that it does deserve its time and attention?
It's one of those things. I mean, these people have a lot of money tied up in these exotic animals. And if someone cuts the fence and one gets out, it's incumbent upon the owner of that animal to either track down the animal and kill it, or recapture it or kill it. And so, it's not really fair to the owner of these animals to have that burden and not have some strong support for penal provisions.
And I guess there's also a danger to the public when you think about it. I mean, you're driving down a highway and all of a sudden there's a bison in the middle of the road. Remember the monkeys? Remember we had all the monkeys on the loose that had the virus. And so it's we laugh at it now, but at the time it's pretty scary, when you think about things like this. And so I guess I can understand that not only the money investment that someone has in this wildlife, but also just if someone is irresponsible and cuts a fence, like you said, you could have total mayhem because it wouldn't be just the one animal that they took. Now all of a sudden you've got an open fence area where you've got, you could create a lot of potentially dangerous scenarios with that.
Yeah, that's true. And also, some of these animals, I know red deer can be very aggressive and attack.
I had no clue.
Most of us are used to whitetails who's going to run from you. But if you happen upon some of these animals they're already somewhat friendly or used to being around people, and then because I actually know of a man that got attacked by a red deer.
I'll be darned. I had never heard of that before.
Yeah.
So they can be aggressive. Well, I appreciate you taking the time with us today. That certainly gives us a better understanding of what this is about and why it would be important. And I think just kind of the wider base, it's not just for protection of the owners. It's for all of us around those areas where they are raising or have farms or camps where they have these exotic animals. I do appreciate you taking time, Chuck, to talk to us about that. The legislature in general, what's the mood going on? Is everybody in a good mood, or is everybody getting tired and wanting it to be over with?
Yeah, I think everybody's in a good nature right now. We haven't really had much on the lines of contentious bills in the last couple of weeks or since the school choice bill came up. So everybody's kind of getting over that, but I think that took a lot of air out of everybody. So I think right now, everybody's looking for next week. Thursday's the last day to get off the floor, and I think next week we can come up for air for a few days and
until a special session is called, right?
And go back to it, right?
Then you're back at it. Thank you so much, Chuck Blackwell, with us today, Mississippi House of Representatives, talking about House Bill 1629, the exotic livestock bill. Chuck, I know you'll keep us updated as to where it goes next.
Sure, will. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for doing what you do for our state. We appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, it's 12:17 on SuperTalk Mississippi. Linda Allen filling in for Gerard. More when we come back.
Hi, this is...
Check it out. Let's do this. The talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Let's get on with it.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
And you're listening to Super Talk Mississippi. Gosh, I haven't heard that one in a long time, Rhino. You're bringing some good stuff up. We're in today from the Element Wealth Studio. Good to have you with us this morning. I'm Linda Allen, filling in for Gerard today. Talking about the lawmakers. You know, it's interesting, Rhino, if you live in the Jackson metro area during the legislative session, almost every night the restaurants are full. I mean, these men and women, we talked about restaurants earlier. They know how to eat. Let me tell you, they go to some great restaurants and they have a great time. They work hard, but they sure have a great time.
Yeah, the eateries are full and the watering holes.
And the water, well, I didn't want to mention that. I'll be careful about that. We've been following some. One of the ones that we just saw pop up just on our crawl as well was about Mississippi high school athletes and the nil deal. It died in the House committee. You've been following this a little bit. I know Gerard has been as well. It's a little confusing to some because it almost feels like, you're thinking it's kind of like the college situation where you could get paid. Explain this a little bit to us, but it has died in the House.
Yeah, House Bill 1400 did not make it out of committee in the House. It would have authorized high school student athletes to sign name, image, and likeness deals, but there's just one sticking point, and it comes down to the whole reason NIL became such a hot topic in the college sphere is the NCAA prohibited student athletes from gaining employment off campus and sometimes even employment on campus. So they were really stuck with their name, image, and likeness being used by the colleges with no way to make any money on it. That being said, high school students, you can get a job. You can get a job mowing yards,
working at a pizza place,
cars, delivering pizza, stuff like that. There are few, if any, prohibitions on high school student athletes from having a job outside of the sport. It may be difficult balancing that schedule, but it's not against the rules. So there's not really a necessity for a new law to allow high school students to make money outside of their athletics. And one of the parts of the bill would not allow for payments that were incentivized for their play on the field. So if that's not what you're paying them for, you can literally just hire them to be a spokesperson for your company. It's nothing against the rules, so there's no need for a new law.
So that's why it didn't go anywhere. That's what's amazing to me is that when you look at 3,000 some bills proposed in a legislative session, and there's so many series. I mean, how many times have we had to go into a special session because we didn't get the budget worked out, right? And it's just amazing to me. And some of them are really good, and some of them almost feel like it's just I'm not saying that this one is, but some of them just seem like a waste of time, and that's kind of sad. We were talking about exotic animals. These are certainly not exotic animals, but this just came across, and this is so disturbing to me that I just don't get it. The Animal Rescue Fund in Jackson, Mississippi, right now is asking for donations. Somebody dumped 10 puppies in a plastic container at a stop sign. Apparently, the resident that found them brought them to the center. A bystander told the resident that the puppies had been there for at least 3 days. So basically a barrel of puppies, a plastic container of puppies. ARF said that 3 of the puppies had already died before the remaining 10 were found. They said the puppies are about 4 weeks old and are being treated at a clinic. They've bathed them, they've removed fleas and started deworming them. So if you are seriously looking for an animal to add to your home, these puppies might be a great opportunity. You know me. I'm all about rescues. I'm all about, if you're going to bring an animal into your home, please, please, please go to a shelter. Gosh, it hurts my heart when I see people spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a dog or a cat, and then I see all these animals that are either having to be put down or dumped. I mean, who dumps puppies? Whoever did this, my gosh, there is a place for you, a special place for you to take up 10 baby puppies, 12, 13 actually. They said, 2 or 3 died. 3 died. And dump them. Just dump them because you're so irresponsible.
And major kudos to the woman that found them and took them to the rescue, because from what I understand, she didn't have a vehicle.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She cobbled together a wagon to get those puppies to the rescue.
I didn't see that in the story. Oh my gosh, that is really incredible. So again, ARF, Animal Rescue Fund in Jackson, looking for donations, and eventually we'll be looking for new homes for these little babies. And keep in mind, I will tell you, I will put out a warning that if you rescue a puppy, you don't always know what it's going to be. My baby puppy, Stella the Dachshund, is mostly Doberman. So, right? But I love her. We love her. She is part of our family now. And so please open up your hearts. But people, and here's the other thing though, Ryan, I got to say, the bystander who said the puppies were in the bucket for 3 days, where were they? Why did they wait 3 days? They didn't even do it. Like you said, this lady came and she took the puppies to the shelter in a wagon. Oh my gosh. Well, God bless her for being one who stands out there and does something good. That hurts my heart. I do want to talk about something everybody is talking about, which is the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. There are new pictures that have been released. The FBI, we know this. We all have friendships and relationships with the police. We know that when an investigation like this is underway, they're not going to tell us everything. We don't want them to tell us everything. They don't want to give away all their secrets. They're trying to catch the suspect. But they are now releasing photos. And now I'm seeing video, Rhino, I don't know if you saw the video that has now come through, that's showing an individual that appears to be a man in a mask undoing the Ring camera on Nancy Guthrie's front door. And I'm kind of looking at this as it goes. It shows an armed individual at her home. He is in a mask. It looks like he's got a backpack on. He's wearing gloves. It looks like a sweatshirt, maybe jeans or some kind of canvas photos. It shows him at that house. So they are starting to release more information about this. This is so... I don't know. I know some people they're like, I get so tired of seeing this story. Why is it making national news and headlines every single day? Well, I think all of us can relate because we see the family pleas and it's heartfelt. We all have a mom. We all have a grandma. Maybe they're not here along with us anymore, but we can feel for these family members about a loved one, and the pleas that are coming from a network anchor who is now in the news herself. She has made news by what's been happening. So, very, very sad, but the photos are alarming. It's the other thing that they're talking about is that the family doesn't recognize the individual, and that's been one of the questions many of us have had. I know I've been a conspiracy theorist all along with this story. Something is very fishy about this whole thing, and the ransom note we didn't. That's so bizarre. No money has been transferred, and all of a sudden that has kind of gone dead. So we are watching this story closely because we know that everybody's interested in it. Not everybody, I realize. Some, I know some. I won't mention any names. He might be sitting here in the studio right now who doesn't understand why. Joshua Nair, my business partner, you've joined me again. You come in on fitness, but you don't find the story. You were a network executive. You worked for NBC as a network executive for years, and you don't understand why this is such a compelling story.
Way to put my dirty laundry out there. It's a compelling story. With everything that is going on in the world today, having it lead the A block in every single network newscast is a lot for me to handle. And I've turned away. And I'm here to say that if you've turned away too, it's okay. I'm not trying to diminish what's happening with the Guthrie family, and I hope some prayers and all the best of things in positivity to that family and all those who know that woman. But honestly, there's a lot of really newsworthy things happening on the planet.
Big world events.
Like right in our backyard. And we could look at it from a holistic perspective and say maybe some more good news needs to come out. We need to cover some good news. Well, there's plenty to talk about. And if we want to cover the same old that I did at NBC for 30 years, where, the bad stuff leads. If it bleeds, it leads. And there's a group of people that sit in a circle that say that that's what the public should see, and that's who determines what you get to see and hear on a day-to-day. I'm not a journalist, never was one, although I did go to school for it, but I was in a sales capacity and helped run the business of television stations. And I just question whether or not people from a viewer and from a business perspective that we're all too wrapped up in this when there's lots of other things that we should be focusing on as well.
I think it's the emotional aspect of it. As I mentioned, a grandmother, mother, your mother's still alive. You're lucky to still have her. And so I think in that respect, we can relate. And I think I hate to say it, I was in television news for almost 40 years. I think it's also, it's an easier story to cover because you're constantly...
There we are.
Right?
It's
you're
lazy.
Constantly being fed more information. And we as a society are interested in things like this. It is sensationalistic in some respects. But we are waiting for a little morsel of something more every minute. And I think the national stories are harder to cover, and they take more time, more effort. And let's face it, most people don't have the attention span they want to give to something that's really big. This is, I hate to say it, but it's really a soap opera playing out, and it's horrible for the family, but it really is. It's a family story of heartache and misery and pain and suffering, and we're witnessing that firsthand. And
way to make me feel small about this topic. Thank you very much.
But I understand what you're saying, though. Are we that fascinated, or is the industry making us that fascinated?
Well, is it who crossed the road first?
From this Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Welcome to our shop
on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Okay, now you have a good one.
I hope that's not a subliminal message to me, Rhino. Hello, everybody. It's 12:37, almost 12:38 on this Tuesday morning. I'm Linda Allen filling in for Gerard. Good to have you with us today. We've been talking about the legislative session and some things that are underway there. I think that's... Yeah. The truck driver, I just heard our news department telling about that, and I saw that this morning on the news in the central Mississippi area where the truck driver was shot just driving down the road. What is going on with people? I mean, just crazy. And you have to wonder, is this individual targeted? Was it a random shooting? Strange things. I have a car, my car, I don't know whether I should say the deer hit my car or the car hit the deer. But I had a car that I had to take to the shop yesterday to drop off, and I was standing there, and as I was standing there, all of a sudden, there was a pickup truck that kind of slowed down on the road in front of the shop, and I happened to look as I was talking to the owner, and there was this little thing that crossed the road, and it was furry and kind of cute looking, and I was like, is that a gopher? What is that? And he's like, no, that's a nutria rat. And I'm like, what? I thought the nutria rats were only in like Eagle Creek, Eagle Lake, and then New Orleans in that area. But apparently we have nutria rats in the central Mississippi area as well. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not a huge population, so you are fortunate that you got to see one. But, yeah, they meander and migrate to wherever they can survive.
That is just so bizarre to me. I've seen them, and it was little, though. You know, the nutria rats that I've seen pictures of, they're big. Remember after Hurricane Katrina, how big that they were. But that's just nuts. And, you know, the last time that I filled in, Will was in with me, and we were talking about how cold it was in Florida, and that we were seeing all kinds of creatures falling out of the iguanas were falling out of the trees. And then it got even colder, and I saw a video of them shoveling them off the driveways and things. They were so stunned by the cold that they were literally with big shovels taking shovels and scooping up these frozen iguanas who were numbed by the cold and putting them in.
They had big bins at the sheriff's departments and the police departments and the fire departments where people could come by and just drop off your frozen iguanas.
Isn't that crazy? You'd think they would figure out a way to eat them, right? And that way, it would be a food source, right? So many of them. Sorry, folks, if you have a pet iguana, I didn't mean to offend you. This is so weird. This is in Florida. Another weird thing. It used to be an urban legend, but apparently it is true that in Florida, alligators are living in the sewers. Can you imagine that? You're in your neighborhood, living in your little cul-de-sac, and your 12-year-old is outside on his or her bike, having a great time, and all of a sudden it's it. But it isn't a clown. It is an alligator peeking up out of there. Apparently they've found a 5-foot alligator living in one of the pipes down there in a community in Florida, and it's amazing. I mean, just all these alligators that are living in sewers in these neighborhoods. Don't you think I guess that probably deserves a House bill, doesn't it? Let's hope that I don't know, if you had an alligator living in your sewer, I don't know. Are they a protected species? I know here in Mississippi, you have to have a ticket, right? You have to win a lottery ticket to kill a gator, right? You can't just kill one in your backyard or in your pond in your yard, right? You have to actually, I don't think you can. I think you have to call animal control to be able to do that. So, I know I can see you over there looking that up right now. Yeah, it looks like
you have to get a license to hunt gator, even in Florida when they have so many of them. They have a season that runs from mid-August to early November.
Other than that, you're stuck, right? You got
to get a specific,
call somebody.
You got to get a permit, or you have to have a trapping license, a harvest permit, or a CITES tag.
A CITES tag? What is that? That's interesting. They have video of one of these alligators in this sewage. I mean, he's 5 foot long. He's a big boy. Compared to Mississippi gators, he's not real big, but 5 feet, that's a pretty good sized gator.
CITES is a Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species.
Wow.
Basically making sure you're not harvesting gators to just sell their skin.
Poach them. Yeah, to be able to do that and not use the meat or anything like that at all. Apparently, they have had 10,000 of these that they have had to take in over the years of alligators just living in our pipes and our systems. Remember that the old wives' tale of somebody flushed an alligator down the toilet, and then the next thing you know, you've got, for a long time, some of those movies, it was hard to sit down for a while without looking and thinking there was a snake or something coming up, right? To this day, I'm terrified of porta potties. I will not go in one because I just don't know what's there, right? I mean, that is so crazy. I mean, that is insane. I wanted to say that Jake, who was listening earlier when we were talking about the Nancy Guthrie story, I think he had an interesting post. He basically said that what he'd like to see the family do is make that a $6 million bounty on the head of the kidnappers versus the ransom. And so, Jake, I think in the Delta, I think that's a great idea. I think that would be good. David in Indianola, he thinks that those iguanas probably taste like chicken. I don't know. They're kind of knobby looking, though. I don't know that you'd get a lot of meat from them, would you?
Yeah, they do look a bit gnarly, but I'm sure there is a recipe for them in some cookbook in some parts of the world. We just got to figure out which one.
They eat nutria rats in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything that they don't eat in Louisiana?
Not that I've found.
Isn't that? But kudos to them. If they can come up with a recipe and it tastes good,
they'll give it a shot.
I can't say that would be a problem, right?
I got a story from the world of weird in honor of Valentine's Day coming up this weekend. It involves an Olympian from Norway. The biathlete decided
the biathlete.
Yes, that's the sport where you do the cross-country skiing and then stop and target shoot and then get back on your skis and keep going. It's one of the few
I'm familiar
events.
With that, yeah.
America's never won a medal in it.
I know what you're talking about
how many
now.
shooters we have in America, we've never won a medal in the biathlon. But this Norwegian dude, he medaled in the biathlon, and they were talking to him afterwards, and he had a confession to make.
Uh-oh.
He talked about how he won a bronze medal in the event, but he had a gold medal in his life because he met the love of his life 6 months ago, and 3 months ago he made a big mistake and cheated on her.
Uh-oh.
And he informed her a week ago that ended the relationship, and he was hoping that by committing social suicide and making the confession in front of the world at the Olympics that she might take him back.
Yeah?
So far, no updates.
He did this publicly. I'm a cheater. Really?
He humiliated himself. He called it his social suicide.
That's fascinating. I almost one time got run over with my photographer in the outskirts of Indianapolis when I was working for a TV station there. It was the first time that a judge had ruled that a pedophile, he got out of prison, but he had to post a sign in his yard that said a pedophile lives here. And we went to get the story because he was being released from prison, right? And it was the first time in the state that they were putting signs up like this. It was to shame them, right? I'm a pedophile, right? And my photographer and I were out on the street. You know, it's a public road. It's out in the county, but way out in the county. And we were on a public road taking videos and photos of the home and the signs. And all of a sudden we hear this rumble, right? And this pickup truck, not a pickup truck, it was a big wheeler, an 18-wheeler. Sorry about that. 18-wheeler. Because the guy drove a truck for a living, right? Had a CDL license. Comes barreling down the road. Somebody had called and said we were there. We literally had to jump out of the way. He didn't hit our car, but almost hit us. Then he gets out of his semi, goes into his house, opens the gate to his backyard, comes out with a shotgun, and 3 German shepherds come after us. Needless to say, we ran into the car, sat in the news car. You know, it was terrifying at the time. Now I think about it, it's like, oh my gosh. But, you know, people do crazy things, don't they? So, you know, you got to be careful. And I don't know. Here's the thing. Not only will he probably not get her back, he's going to have a tough time getting a replacement. Because who wants to take a known cheater home to mom? Hi, Mom. What is his name?
Let's see what his name is.
Norwegian, right?
Yeah, he's
Hans.
from Norway.
Maybe Hans, maybe...
I don't even know if I can pronounce
Johan.
it. No, Johan Olav Botten.
Bolton.
B-O-T-N.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that's crazy. Well, maybe he thought it would be his...
forgive me. That's his teammate's name. I don't want to give the wrong name to the cheater here.
Wait, what does the teammate have to do with it?
It was just mentioned in the article. Yeah, his name is the weird one I can't pronounce. Leigrid. The A-E thing, and G-R-E-I-D. I don't speak Norwegian.
We just call him Cheater from now on. That's so sad, though. I feel kind of bad for him in a way, but not really.
He made his bed. He's got to lie in it.
Literally. And I have to admit this, and this is awful, but when you said he was a bi-Olympian... my mind went somewhere completely different. Yeah, don't mess around with him. It's 12:48. I'm Linda Allen, shamefully filling in for Gerard this morning. Good to have you with us.
They did the boogie with a steady roll. They mess around. They're doing the mess around. They're doing the mess around. Everybody doing the mess around. Now, when I say stop, don't you move a peg. When I say go, just shake your leg and do the mess around. I declare, do the mess around. Yeah, do the mess around. Everybody's doing the mess around.
Hey, this is Bob.
Properly set all controls before recording. All systems go. The talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And welcome back to the Element Wealth Studios. I'm Linda Allen, filling in for Gerard today. And it's toward the end of the hour. It's lunchtime. We're all hungry. So I've got a story that might kill your appetite if you're on a diet. We were talking about Valentine's Day a little bit. This is bizarre, where I know. The Bronx Zoo, they found an very inventive way, creative way to raise money for the zoo. For Valentine's Day, this is what you can give your loved one. For $15, for a donation of $15, you can name a roach after your loved one. A cockroach. Yes, a cockroach. The money benefits the Wildlife Conservation Society, which is a nonprofit organization. They've been doing this for 11 years, and it's an unusual way to show your undividing love and devotion. Naming someone you care about after a cockroach. Maybe your skier. What was his thing? Biathlete. Maybe your biathlete should try that. I don't know. That's very bizarre, isn't it?
We've got something similar here in the Magnolia State at the Mississippi Museum of Natural Science called Later Gator.
Later Gator?
Where you can name a fish after your ex and feed it to a gator.
Oh, my goodness. Oh,
That'll be coming up this Friday.
You name a fish and then they feed it to the gator?
I mean, they were already going to feed the gator, so they have these little fish that you can symbolically name after your ex. You get a little catharsis.
A little burning of the notes, all the bad vibes. You know, we think about Valentine's Day. It's coming up hey, men, for those of you that have forgotten, it is this Saturday. And let me tell you, if you have a woman in your life, she will not forget, right? Some will call this a manufactured holiday, something that we created to make money. It is true. In 1913 is when Hallmark started making Valentine's cards, and we buy hundreds of thousands of them every year, right? Well, it actually has some pretty dark beginnings when you think about Valentine's Day. Back in the Roman time, from February 14th through the 13th was a period of time. This is the most bizarre story, I swear. So it was a period of time that they celebrated the feast of Lupercalia. The men, back in these days, would sacrifice a goat and a dog. Then they would whip women with the hides of the animals they had just killed. Now, why, you might ask, would they do this? The Romans, well, first of all, let's just face it, they were drunk and naked, which a lot of Romans back then were. But apparently, according to a religious studies professor at Yale University, women would actually line up for the men to whip them because they believed it would make them fertile. The original origins of this started out because it was a matchmaking lottery. Men drew the names of women from a jar. They would then be coupled for the duration of the festival or longer if the match was right. And it was all in ancient Roman times to procreate. So Valentine's was all about love and making love. The ancient Romans were also responsible probably for the name of this because Emperor Claudius II executed two men, both named Valentine, on February 14th at different times. Their martyrdom was honored by the Catholic Church with St. Valentine, so that goes on and on. But isn't that crazy that apparently women loved this because they thought it would make them fertile? So that's, I guess, where we come up with chocolate and oysters and all these fertility things, these wives' tales of fertility things, right, for Valentine's. And, ironically, Valentine's Day is not the most popular day for flowers.
Really?
The busiest day for florists in the country. Do you know when it is?
No.
Mother's Day.
Ah, that makes sense.
Right? Everybody has to take care of mama. Not everybody has a girlfriend or wife or someone or a spouse. It can be a guy too, right? I mean, women do things. They have pretty pictures taken for their loved ones, and they do special things. And but I think the main thing is on Valentine's, it is kind of a trumped up holiday at this point. It's like a lot of holidays that we have. We feel so pressured, right, to buy things, to do things. There are now anti-Valentine Day parties too, right? Where it's
I've been to one of those before.
Have you really?
Yeah.
What did they do?
It was just singles mingling, and there wound up being a few couples from that party that celebrated Valentine's together the next year.
That's great. That's kind of like an ex party. One time I went to an ex party when I was much, much younger where you bring your ex and then have you ever done that?
I've never done that.
Yeah. You're invited to a party. You bring your ex. It's got to be a likable ex, somebody that you like, right? You don't want the cheater. You don't want the biathlete cheater. You would never bring him to that party. You want to be respectable, right? But you bring an ex who you liked. It just didn't work out. And then hopefully your ex finds another ex and hits it off, right? Maybe that's what you should do this year for Valentine's. Why don't you have an X party?
You need to get an app for it.
You can name a fish. You can buy a fish, and you can name a cockroach. Right? I want to come to that party. That sounds like fun. It has been a blast being with you. Thank you so much for allowing me to fill in for Gerard today. He'll be back again tomorrow, and I hope to see you again. Have yourself a terrific day. I'm Linda Allen. Take care.
SuperTalk Mississippi Media Production.